Hello, and welcome to Verbling. I'm teacher Oakley, and for the next hour here on Verbling, we are going to be looking at perfect tenses. We're going to be doing some fill-in-the-blank exercises in which we're going to have to choose a verb tense. We'll be picking between possibly simple past or perfect verb tense. As we go along, students will take turns doing the exercises, and as we go along, we'll be explaining the whys and wherefores of why we're picking that particular verb tense and talking about the circumstances and the reasons and so forth. Kind of analyzing it as we go. I do have to, in advance, say I kind of mixed up my material. We'll be doing a similar exercise tomorrow. I kind of mixed up my material a little, but all right. Anyway, may not be exactly the material that I put in the class description. I'll fix it for tomorrow's class, which will be quite similar. Well, this is peculiar. Let me start off by saying hello and welcoming students to the class. Hello, Heidi.
Hello, nice to see you again. Maybe other student computer is echoing.
Yeah, well, they're also, I don't know, some kind of a clone, because there's two of them. So let me deal with that. Hello, Amalia.
Hi, teacher. How are you?
I'm fine. First of all, I think you're here twice, which is very odd and interesting. And anyway, nice to meet you, but okay, now it seems I can't tell. There was an echo, so I still can hear it a little bit. So one thing, Amalia, you have to make sure that you have closed the Verbling window, that you don't have the live play on the Verbling window, because that will just play through with a slight delay and echo everything. Okay?
Okay.
All right, so close that. Okay, there we go. I think that problem solved. Terrific. All right, I hear you loud and clear, but I'm not sure why, Amalia, but you're in the class twice.
Hey, I don't know.
Okay, well, usually what happens is one of you will disappear. Your ghost, your doppelganger, your twin. Hopefully that will happen. Otherwise, I'll be frightened. Okay. All right, some others have joined us, so let me welcome Ziad. How are you? Good to see you again.
Hi, Oakley. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. Okay, and all right, and another student has joined us, and I'm sorry, your name appears to be in Arabic, and I can't read Arabic. Hi,
His name is Ahmed.
What's that? Sorry?
His name is Ahmed.
Ahmed. Hello, Ahmed.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you very
I
much.
tried to change it into English, but I think it didn't work.
Okay, all right. Well, that's okay, as long as I know who you are. Is that a picture of your child?
Yeah,
Yeah, cute. Nice.
thank you.
Cool. Where are you from, Ahmed?
I'm from Saudi Arabia.
Okay, that's great. Well, we're glad you could join us. One thing,
Thank you.
Ahmed, we're going to be taking turns doing a little grammar type quiz, perfect tenses today. So when it's not your turn, if you could, you have a very good microphone. When it's not your turn, could you mute your microphone? We can hear the pages turning. You have an excellent microphone, excellent equipment. So, okay. Well, thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Because we're going to be taking turns today, for sure. All right. Thanks a lot. Let me also welcome, is it Francine? Is that right?
Hi, teacher. I'm Francisco.
Francisco. I'm sorry, Francisco. Okay. Hi, Francisco.
Hi, teacher. I'm fine. You?
I'm okay. Thanks. All right. Sorry about that. Thank you for joining us. Also, David is with us. Hi, David. Good to see you again.
How are you doing? I'm fine, thank you.
Great. I'm fine. Thanks. And also, Victor has joined us. Hi, Victor.
Hi, nice to see you again.
Likewise. Always a pleasure. Okay. Let's get started. Still a little bit of room in the class if a couple more students would like to join us. Go ahead, come on in. All right, we're going to jump right in doing this perfect tense verb quiz. The first thing we're going to do, we're going to be looking at a couple of paragraphs because I would like to demonstrate for you how sometimes within a paragraph, our choice of verb tenses doesn't have to be outlined in each individual sentence in English. We can reference back to times or time durations that were referenced earlier within the paragraph. That's the general idea in English, is that once a time is stated, it's known, and it can be used to determine verb tense throughout the paragraph. All right, in writing, obviously. Okay, so that's going to be our first exercise. So let me screen share, and we'll get started. We'll get to it. Okay, now you're basically looking for simple past or present perfect, but I have to warn you, there may be possible exceptions to that. There may be one or two cases where it may be possible to use a continuous tense or even a past perfect and still make sense. So keep your options open, but mostly we're looking at simple past, present perfect. Okay, let's go. We're going to go basically take turns sentence by sentence. So Heidi, could you please do the honors and kick us off here?
Since computers were first introduced to the public in the early 1980s, technology has changed a great deal.
Okay. Present perfect tense. Please remember present perfect tense. He, she, it has changed, whatever the verb is. And I, singular or the plurals, you, we, they have changed. Okay, so good job. Heidi, can you tell me, Heidi, why did you choose the present perfect tense here?
Because
You are
the
perfect.
fact is since
Yes.
for a long time.
Right. Since time in the past, and notice this time in the past is the early 80s. That is specific enough, a time in the past, up until now. The present perfect tense always has some connection from the past up to now. So the implication is up to now, technology has changed a great deal. Great job. Thank you. Amalia, who's still two people. Amazing. Amalia,
Yeah, teacher.
one of you, please, can read the next sentence.
The first computers, I don't know. The first computer are simple machines designed for basic tasks.
Okay. Well, we know, Amalia, that computers were first introduced in the early 80s. So this is what I'm talking about. We have time information earlier in the paragraph. Okay. So we can also determine that the first computers, that this is a finished action, because now if there were first computers, there must now be second or third or fourth generation computers. Okay?
Okay.
So this is a finished action, so simple past. What do you think? Amalia? Past.
I don't know, teacher.
Okay. The past tense of the verb to be was or were. Since we,
Wow.
yeah, he, she, or it was or I was. Singulars was, plurals they, you, we, were. So computers obviously is plural, more than one. They were simple machines. All right? You
Yeah.
understand why?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let me quickly welcome Sam to the class. Hi, Sam. Good to see you.
Hello.
Hello. How are you today?
Yes, I'm fine. Thank you.
Great. Okay. Hang on. We'll come around to you in a bit. Ziad, next sentence, please. You got a double? I'm sure you can handle it.
They hadn't much memory and they wasn't very powerful.
They hadn't much memory. Okay. All right. Okay. Simple past tense, all right? Instead of
Yes.
saying it had not much memory, all right, with it's better probably to use they didn't have. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
All right. You with the simple past, other than the verb to be, where we can just use the simple verb to be, was, were. You have a main verb, and here your main verb is have. All right. All right. So they didn't have much memory, and what did you say for the second one?
They weren't.
Yeah. Okay. Verb to be again. All right. They were not, or okay. You're contracting the not and the verb together to weren't, and that is just fine. One note about that for you and for everyone. In speaking, that would be much better to contract the verb, absolutely. I highly recommend that you all get used to using contractions in spoken English. Native speakers all do, and really under any circumstances. This, what we're looking at here, on the other hand, appears to be some sort of an academic essay writing piece. And so I would advise you to not do this. Writing in general is much more formal in English, and especially if you're doing business writing or academic writing, it's a better idea to use full forms. Okay, so although it's very natural in spoken English, just get in the habit of using full forms when you're writing, not a love letter to your girlfriend. Who cares about informal writing? But if you're writing a professional piece of writing, copywriting, or a college assignment, please get used to full forms. It's much better style. Okay. All right, but you got it. All right, moving on. Ahmed. And
Yes.
Ahmed? Okay.
Yeah.
First of all, question before you do your thing here. Should I pronounce your name Ahmed or Ahmed with a
No, the first one.
Ahmed. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Easier for you.
Well, I can handle it, man. Hey, yeah, I'm going to insist that you pronounce correctly. You might as well insist that I pronounce your name correctly. I'm okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, Ahmed. Okay, starting with early here, and then I'll scroll down. Early.
Early computers were often
Yep.
quite expensive, and customers often paid thousands of dollars in the past for machines. Should I complete, or?
Yeah, go ahead. Finish the sentence.
Which actually did very little.
Okay. So simple past in both cases. All right, do is the main verb here. When do is the main verb, there's no need for any auxiliaries. Okay, well, certainly not here because it's a positive regular statement. Okay. Okay, no problem. Again, we're still rolling on with the idea of talking about first computers started in the 80s. So we're still using that time idea continuing in the paragraph. All right, good job. All right, Francisco from Most Computers.
Okay, teacher. Most computers were separate individual machines used mostly as expensive typewriters or for playing games.
Yep. Okay, so we continue the whole paragraph with that same idea, really, which was introduced here, the first computers. So again, we had to kind of deduce the idea that these are all past finished circumstances, actions, what have you. All right. Okay. David, now we've got a new paragraph.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Time has changed. I guess.
Well, look at the plural. Look at the plural here.
Oh, times have changed.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Times have changed. All right. Very common phrase in English. Times have changed. All right. Present perfect. Now here we've got absolutely no time reference other than the word times. David, you're perfectly correct, but how did you figure that out? How did you figure out that this has to be present perfect?
Because, let's see how I figure it out. But I have heard this I have heard this expression before, number one, so it's sticking in my head. But I think if you look at it, if you try to analyze it, I think the reference here is the previous paragraph. Mm-hmm. So signs have changed since that time.
Yeah,
you know, that's what I think. That's what in my mind was. I was thinking about that without thinking about it, but you know.
Right. Difficult to think about, but you're right. Number one, it's a very common expression, as I had mentioned and you had mentioned, and secondly, okay, sometimes we can refer to the previous paragraph in a very general way.
Right.
All right. Especially in the first sentence or introductory sentence of the next paragraph. So this is fairly common. All right. And this is also fairly common to have some kind of time reference in the beginning of a paragraph, especially if you're talking, well, like this mini essay, about anything that involves sequence of events. So it's very normal and natural in English writing to bring up or reference a time immediately in each paragraph. That way you know what verb tenses to be using in the paragraph. Okay, very good, David. Excellent. Victor, take over, please.
Okay. Computers have become powerful machines with very practical application.
All right. Very good. And once again, computers, plural, have become. Once again, we're following our lead from our first sentence. All right, without any real direct time mentioned. We're just following the lead that this first sentence gives us. This is very, very normal. Okay. Great. All right, Sam. I'm here.
Yes. Programmers have created a large selection of useful programs which do everything from teaching foreign languages to bookkeeping.
Okay, very good. All right, we're just following the same thing, and yes, programmers plural have created. Yes, there's still the idea that's continuing through these first sentences here is, again, from the time in the past up until now. There's the implication, using present perfect tense here, the implication is that the programmers will probably continue to do so in the future. I'm sure they will.
That's my light now.
All right. Hello? Goodbye. Okay. Here today, gone tomorrow. Okay. Well, all right. Heidi, I guess it's back to you.
We are still playing video games, but today the games have become faster, more exciting, interactive adventures.
Okay. All right. Notice again, we are still playing. All right, now are playing the present continuous tense. Now we have direct now actually referenced. It's referenced by using the present continuous tense. Okay. And even today's we have a time reference. Have become faster. We know it has to be present perfect also because we're using a comparative adjective here, which means we're comparing today with something. What else? Today with the past, obviously. So here's another clue that you need present perfect tense when you're comparing present and the past. Yeah. Alrighty. Continuing. Amalia?
Yeah, teacher. Many computer users also have get
Okay.
on
All
the
right.
internet and have begun communicating with other computer users around the world.
Okay. Have begun. All right. The present perfect is the has or have and the past participle. So begin, began, begun. Begin present tense, began past, he began yesterday, and begun, he has begun. Okay, now the first one, however, Amalia, your word order is a little off. You got the right idea with the verb tense. You started with also, right? Also have got or gotten. It really should be have also. Also being here actually an adverb. All right, we want to, generally speaking, when in doubt, well, adverbs like also, still, just, these kinds of adverbs. Notice in the previous sentence, we are still playing. Notice the placement of still, another adverb similar to also. Notice how it comes after the helper verb or the auxiliary, but before the main verb. All right, we want to do the same thing here. Amalia, have also. Now, Amalia,
Yeah.
should I use got or should I use gotten?
Got or gotten.
Yeah, which one?
Gotten.
Really? Okay. I don't know. Okay, this is one of this tricky. Honestly, this is one of those tricky verbs where there's a few verbs in English, by the way, like learn is an example. Learn, learned, learned. Americans say learned with an ED, but British sometimes use learnt with a T, L-E-A-R-N-T, to use the past participle. So occasionally, there are cases when past participle may be different. There may be two options. Not to say either one is wrong, they're both equally valid. All right? But one is used primarily in British English and one's used primarily in American English. Got is such a verb. I don't know what British say. I'm an American, and I always use gotten as my past participle. So, Amalia, I'm with you on this one. All right? But a British person might say, well, got is just fine. I prefer gotten myself. Okay, good job. All right, we're still following the same idea as we're talking about computers from the past until now. And actually, now we're talking about the users, but nevertheless, present perfect is still valid. Okay, Zed.
Yes. We have started to create international communities online.
Okay, that was easy. Why is this? No, that's right. Okay, perfect. All right. All right, so we're just following the same thing. Well, that was easy. And it's disappeared. Francisco, finish us off here.
Okay, in short, the simple individual machines of the past have evolved into an international worldwide web of knowledge.
Okay, there we go. All right, this is a pretty much straightforward, simple example how we notice how the sequencing, how the organization of the paragraphing talks about the finished past first, all simple past or mostly simple past after the intro, and then the second paragraph is referencing more to now, all present perfect. All right, so much for that. That was far too easy for you guys. So here, let's try something a little more challenging. Okay, here we go. We're going to try another, try another exercise here. I'm going to screen share with you all where our options are much more wide open. Here we go. All right, first, some sentences. Go ahead by the numbers 1, 2, 3. Each student will do the whole thing. So, David, number 1. Okay, simple past, present perfect, past perfect. Again, there may be possibilities of continuous tenses popping up here.
Okay.
Number 1.
When I arrived home last night, I discovered that Jane had prepared a beautiful candlelight dinner. How romantic.
Indeed. Okay, lovely. All right. Excellent. Okay. All right, here we have a sentence, a complex sentence with 2 separate parts or 2 separate clauses. David appropriately and correctly has used a simple past tense in the subordinate clause with when. This is very, very normal, by the way. Okay, but in the second clause, he discovered at the same time he arrived. Okay, so those things happened at the same time. He arrived and discovered that Jane had prepared. So he's using the past perfect here to show that this action, Jane's preparing, dinner's ready, this had happened earlier in the past. A separate action earlier in the past. Excellent. So perfect. So here we see a very good example of how the past perfect is used. Past perfect is to show one event that had happened before another event, or perhaps before another specific time in the past. All right. So it could be another action before another action, or could be before another specific time in the past. Okay. On to number 2. Victor, number 2 here.
Okay. Since I began acting, I performed in 2 plays, a television commercial, and a TV drama. However, I have never even spoken publicly before I come to Hollywood in 1985.
Okay, I've never even spoken. Okay. The first one. Why, Victor? Why did you give me simple past?
Sorry, I have performed.
Okay.
Yes, I don't see the sign at the beginning of the sentence.
Okay. Since. Makes since. All right. So, excuse me. Sorry. Right. That since is really crucial. Since I began acting indicates a specific time in the past. Believe it or not, at some time in the past, he must have started acting. That time is over. Okay, over and finished. But since that specific time up until now, again, is the idea. I have performed in 2 plays since that specific time. All right. Good job with the organization of the second one, Victor. I have never even spoken.
I think it should be I had never, because before I came.
Okay, wait a minute. However, oh yeah, hang on. I have never even spoken. Oh, no, I haven't. Oh, right. I was thinking it was after. Oh, I was thinking until. Sorry. My brain was thinking that this word was until. Actually, Heidi has a point here. Oh, okay. So here's 1985. Here's a specific time. When did this action happen? I don't know why my brain was thinking until. I don't know why it was. Okay, thank you. Very good. All right. Still, good placement, but Victor, he never spoke publicly. This happened before 1985. So this would have to be past perfect.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah. Thank you, Heidi. Good eye. Thank you. Hopefully I would have caught that. I hadn't even finished reading the sentence yet. I was looking at this, but okay. Thank you. Very good. Okay. Even if it was until, it would be had. Okay. Sorry, I just didn't get that far. Okay. Sam, how about number 3?
Okay. By the time I got to the office, the meeting has begun already without me.
Well, hold that thought. Wait a second
Okay.
before we continue. It gets more confusing. Okay. By the time I got to the office.
The meeting began. No, began. B-E-G-A-N.
Okay. By the time
Because here we use already, so we have to use present perfect.
No? Because of already? No. Something could have already happened in the past. You know, you can talk about the past.
Had.
Yeah. Right. Had.
Yes. Had already.
Yeah, there we go.
Already began.
Okay, because we're talking about 2 separate actions. Right, that meeting had already without me. Okay, now continue. Go ahead, finish it.
My boss my boss was furious with me. And I was fired.
Okay, now this is interesting.
Okay.
No, you're not wrong. Okay, but I need to explain. what's going on here. My boss was furious with me. That's got to be simple past, because that happened basically at the same time I got to the office. Basically, he you know, pretty much the same time. You're late. Okay, the boss was furious with me. Now, in the second part of the sentence, however, we have options here. And this is where it gets interesting. In English, sometimes you have a choice of verb tense depending on how you're thinking about it. Now, the way that Sam is thinking about it, and I was fired, this is a finished action. It's over. She's thinking about, boom, this action is the firing action, the boss going, get out now. This happened and it's over. Thank God it's over. All right. That's fine. There's no problem with that. The speaker, however, it is possible that the speaker is thinking more about the fact that they're unemployed now, or that they're really depressed because they were fired, and maybe they're speaking to their friend and they want their friend to console them. Maybe they're thinking more about the repercussions or the results relevant to now. If the person is thinking about how this action affects now, is strongly thinking about how it is affecting them now, it is possible to say, and I have been fired. Okay. Okay. All right.
Fired already right here.
Oh, fired is already there, right? I have been fired. Okay. Here, okay, I was fired is a passive. The action happened to the subject, I. The subject, the action happened to them. Have been fired, okay, present is a passive, present perfect. I have been fired. It depends, and it depends on the context, and it depends on how the speaker thinks about it. Okay, so it is possible. Frequently, it is possible to use one or another of tenses. Okay. All right. I want to give you another example, just a spoken example of what I mean, and how this sometimes can work. Okay. I'm just going to tell you a story here. All right, we'll come back to this. I just want to give you all an example of how this can work. Here's my little Johnny story to illustrate how your choice of verb tenses can have more to do with what you're concerned with than any grammar rules. Okay, little Johnny. Little Johnny comes home from school, and his clothing is torn, and he's got a bruise on his eye, and he's totally covered in mud. He comes in the house, and his mother would say, "Little Johnny, what have you been doing?" Okay, a present perfect continuous tense. She wants to know what action of duration that's her concern. How on earth did he get so muddy and dirty and bruised? Okay, she's concerned with the action. All right. Okay, next day. Before little Johnny even comes into the house from after school, baseball comes crashing in the window. And little Johnny comes in the house looking very sheepish, and his mother might say, "Little Johnny, what have you done?" and point at the window. She is more concerned with the results of the action. She knows exactly what he was doing. He was playing with a baseball one way or another. It's pretty obvious. The action he was doing, she's much more concerned with the result now. And, all right, what is the result right now that she's looking at? The broken window. So she would say, "Johnny, what have you done?" She would not say, "What have you been doing?" She knows what he's been doing. So there you go. Another example. sometimes choice of verb tense depends on more on what the way the speaker is thinking about things. Okay, just had to share that little story. I actually use that little story, believe it or not, for myself. If I'm doing formal writing and I'm trying to think about my concerns, what am I really concerned with, the action or the result, or am I thinking about this as a past finished action or as an action with an effect on now?
Teacher, I have a question.
Yeah.
Because in this text, for example, you give us example about Jenny. Her mother knows, that's why she was using that. But right now, because I'm a writer and I know the end, right? I know the end. And for example, if somebody will, because this thing in his or her mind, yes, in their mind. So what? Because they don't know that what happened in the future, or like that. So in this case, we have to use also a present perfect.
Okay. Well, unfortunately, Sam, you cut out for like 3 words that write a very crucial part of what you were asking me. Sorry. One more time so I make sure I understand.
We have to more interesting the sentence when you are going to write something, especially when using present perfect, right?
Okay.
My question is that because when we use past, when use present perfect, simple past, when we use present perfect, we have to use more interesting any writing when we are going to write.
More
is it right?
I'm not clear on. I'm sorry. I'm
for example, yes. For example, yes. Please. For example, here we write, "I have been fired," right? Because I know I have been fired. Something what happened in coming days, or what will be going on, or I have a job, I get a job or not. Because I am telling to someone, but other person doesn't know. Really know about that, what happened.
Right.
Because there is another, the continuity of sentence is not here. You can see that, yes?
We don't have the context.
Yes. Just only 2 words, 2 sentences, sorry, not word, but 2 sentences.
Right. It is, well, I'm not sure if I'm answering your question. I'm not sure if I'm clear. But the choice of verb tense, what I'm trying to illustrate is that the choice of verb tense has to do with the intentions and or maybe more to the point, concerns of the speaker or the author. Even the author, even if you're writing, you might choose to use a perfect tense or present perfect tense because you're concerned with whatever, an economic action that has an effect on the stock market today. But if you're not concerned with that past event and how it affects now, you might choose to use a simple past tense because in your line of thinking as you're writing, that's not your concern, the effect on today's stock market, and you're not even writing about that, so you're going to, even though you're talking about a same event, 2 authors may use 2 separate verb tenses. One is concerned with this past event. Another is concerned with how that past event has affected today's stock market. You see? So it depends on the intention of the speaker or the author. What are they trying to say? What are they trying to communicate? That this has an effect on now? You know, by saying I have been fired, this person is saying this firing has really affected me and I'm really sad now and I don't know what I'm going to do, where I'm going to find a job. Oh my God, I don't have any money. You know that it's affecting them now. You know that by the way they said it. If the person just uses simple past, this person, maybe they have another job. Maybe they're talking about something in the far distant past and they don't care anymore. They really don't care right now. There is that conception, if they're using present simple, that it really doesn't matter now. It has no bearing on now. So, right.
Okay.
So, again, it's the call of the author or the speaker to decide that.
Okay, thanks.
I have to also explain something that I got a little, because I got a little thrown off. In this last sentence, I have to also, there's something I forgot to tell you. It is perfectly correct to have past perfect tense here. I had never even spoken publicly before I came to Hollywood in 1985. I do have to tell you something, however. If you are going to use the subordinator before or after, specifically, subordinators before or after, in a sentence where you're showing sequence, okay, it is possible to just use simple past. It is not required to use past perfect. All right. In my humble personal opinion, it is much clearer to go ahead and use past perfect because it makes it that much more clear. But it is possible to say, however, I never even spoke publicly before I came to Hollywood in 1985. Grammatically speaking, that would be acceptable. It's kind of an exception rule. I forgot to mention it earlier. Before and after. Okay. And many people, when I point that out, many people say, well, then why the heck do we ever need to use past perfect? You can negotiate around it every time. Trust me, there are definitely circumstances where it is not possible. It's simply not. Okay, let us move on. Heidi, number 4.
When I turned on, when I turned the radio on yesterday, I heard a song that was popular when I was in high school.
Yeah, okay, you're doing great. Keep going, do the whole thing.
I've not heard the song in years.
Okay, wait a minute. Okay, I turned on the radio yesterday, heard a song. Okay, this happened yesterday. Right? Now,
Okay, I not heard the song in years.
Okay, I'd. I
don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Technically, I had not heard. Right. That's it.
Brought back some great memories.
Okay. And at the time, yesterday, that is, yesterday, it brought back some memories. Yesterday, you turned on the radio. Yesterday, heard a song. Yesterday, it brought back memories. All simple past. Yesterday, specific time in the past. Yesterday's over. However, he had not hearing the song in years. That did not happen yesterday. Not hearing the song in years. That did not happen yesterday. That happened before yesterday. So exactly. All right. Very good. By the way, all right. Spoken English. Heidi, how could you using contractions? There's a couple different ways to say this first phrase.
I hadn't, or I don't know. Maybe I hadn't.
Both. You're exactly correct. Both are equally valid. I did not heard the song in years, or I hadn't heard the song in years. It's possible to contract either way. You tend to lean toward hadn't, and so do I. We tend to use the contracted, when we have an option, we tend to use the contracted form using not, the contracted form of not. Most native speakers will definitely tend to use hadn't, absolutely. For some reason, I'd not heard the song in years. Sounds a little too formal. believe it or not, it has a more formal ring to it than using the normal conversational hadn't. So I'm with you there. I hadn't heard this song in years. Okay, great. Ooh, they're getting longer and longer. All right, Amalia, you're up.
Yeah, teacher. The last week, I ran into an ex-girlfriend of mine.
Well,
wait
a minute. When did last week happen?
Last week.
Last week happened last week. That's in the past.
I ran.
Ran. Okay. All right. Yep. Keep going.
Okay. I ran into an ex-girlfriend of mine. We didn't see each other in years.
Okay. Wait a minute.
We have not seen.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. That's it. Okay. Before that. Before they ran into each other. All right. Okay.
And both of us have changed a great deal.
Had changed. Be careful. Pronunciation. Changed. Okay.
Okay. I enjoyed talking to her so much that I asked her out on a date.
Okay.
We are getting together tonight for dinner.
All right. Okay. Be careful of asked. By the way,
asked.
This is okay. Wait. Hang on to this one for a minute. The absolutely dictionary proper pronunciation, Amalia, is asked. You pronounce the S and then the K and then the T. Asked. But for heaven's sake, that's even difficult for a native speaker to actually pronounce. So you know what? We don't. Most native speakers are going to reduce the pronunciation of this and pronounce it. We're going to drop the K. All right? So really, in normal conversational speech, Amalia, it's going to sound like asked. So, okay, I enjoyed talking to her so much that I asked her out on a date. Notice you can't even really hear the K. So much easier that way. Perfectly acceptable. All right? And so I asked her out on a date. Okay. Amalia, one more question. Just a point of vocabulary in case anybody doesn't know. What is run into, or ran into in this case? What does that mean? He ran into his ex-girlfriend. Did he smash into her with his car? What does that mean? Do you know?
I don't know how to explain.
Okay. Well, I do. If you run into somebody, yes, run into can be a physical, I ran into a car with my tree. I mean, I ran into a car with my tree. Sorry. I ran into a tree with my car. Yeah, sorry about that. Maybe another cup of coffee is in order for the teacher. Okay, I ran into a car with my tree. Yes, it can be physical, crashing into something. But it can also mean when you talk about a person, it usually means that you met them unexpectedly. You didn't expect to meet them, but you did. Okay, so that's it. Okay. All right. Great, and good job with all the verb tenses. Okay. Great job. All right, Amalia. Okay. Ziad, let's try number 6 here.
When Jack entered the room.
Okay. I recognize not.
I didn't recognize him.
Great.
He lost Because he lost so much weight and
right then, when you saw him, he lost weight. What happened? Did his arms fall off or something?
Yeah. He had lost.
Yeah, there you go. Before, when he entered the room, right? Before that. So, okay, right. So something had happened. You noticed something different. Okay, then that action happened before.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And how about this one?
And had grown a beard.
Okay. Now here I want to show you something else interesting. Okay. You're not wrong. It is not wrong to say he had lost so much weight and he had grown a beard. But if you're in the same clause, there that is a okay. If you're within the same clause, you're using the same subject, he. Okay, same subject. It is, you can, this is perfectly fine in English, to use your auxiliary for two verbs. He had lost so much weight and grown a beard. Notice this is a good example because grown is the past participle. I know that goes with had. This isn't a simple past because grew is the simple past, grown. So this is a very good example. It is possible within the same clause or part of a sentence when you have a new subject and verb, if you're using the same subject for two verbs, it is definitely possible, whether this be in formal writing or whether it be in conversational English, you don't need to repeat if you have two verbs in the same tense, you don't need to repeat your auxiliaries. Okay. All right. Okay. He was running and jumping. Okay, like that. I don't need to say he was running and was jumping. In fact, it sounds a little weird to repeat the auxiliary.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right. Great. Moving on. Where are we? Francisco, number 7.
Okay, the Mayan established a very advanced civilization in the jungles of the Yucatan. However, their culture had virtually disappeared by the time Europeans first arrived in the New World.
By the time, well, that's a key right there. By the time Europeans first arrived, yeah. Okay, very good. All right. Okay. And had virtually disappeared. You got it. All right, that's perfect. By the time is often going to be used in connection with the past perfect. Okay, and here, unlike before or after, you have no option. Well, here you go. Here's a good example. You want to express the idea of by the time something else happened in the past, this other action happened before. You definitely are going to need past perfect here. Okay, great. One more. Looks like we have time for here. David, number 8 here.
Okay, number 8. I have visited so many beautiful places since I came to Utah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Before moving here, I have never heard of Bryce Canyon Zion Arches or Canyon Lands. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to juggle the pronunciation of these words.
Yeah. Well, okay. Before moving here,
I had never
heard. All right. Had never heard. There you go. Very good. All right. Before moving here, all right. This is a time we're referring to. Okay. Now, in this case, I would definitely say you'd have to use the past perfect as you did here. All right. And by the way, anybody, you guys, you want to go to America, I would, and you've got time, and you want to see something really beautiful. These places, Bryce Canyon, Zion is the most beautiful place, the most beautiful park I've ever seen. The arches.
I was there.
These are awesome. You've been to Zion? Really?
Zion, yes. I've been in Zion.
Is that cool or what?
Oh,
Did you go up the river?
Yeah. No, I didn't. But it's amazing. It's just amazing.
It's like another planet or something, like fantasy.
It is. It is. It's amazing.
Yeah, highly recommend it. Glad you agree with me, David. We're out of time, guys. I hope you learned a thing or two. Tomorrow at the same time, we'll do another round. Thank you so much for joining me, and we'll see you again soon. Bye for now.
Thank you.